All right, welcome to another episode of the Sit Down and Heal podcast. My name is Coach Derrick, and I am your host. I'm a certified healing journey coach and relationship coach. And what I do here is I am the bridge between the two. I help you heal first, and then I send you back outside. And the goal here, as you get under my covering, if you ever get coached by me, the goal is to let you go back outside with more healing wrapped around you than trauma, because that trauma is doing the most in our lives, and it's been there probably most of our lives. So it's my job to help you get out of that cycle of terror and try to have the life that you always dreamed that you would have. So let's talk about this topic tonight. We're talking about the busy brain. I didn't even know this term until today, that it was called busy brain, because I just call it chaos. But the title of the show, I titled it The Busy Brain, Absent Heart, Repairing Unintentional Distance, right? And so what we're talking about is sometimes when we're in relationships, our partner may complain that we're not showing up, or we're not caring enough, or we don't pay attention to things. And then we respond like, what are you talking about? I'm here. Like, I don't get it. And your partner's complaining about being neglected, and you can't see it because your brain is too busy. You're doing too much. You're hustling. The hustle culture will ruin a relationship because all you think about is making the money. But you're a whole husband. You're a whole wife. You've been in a relationship for 5 years. What is that hustling? What is that busyness doing for the balance of your relationship, right? So I'm going to read to you the definition of busy brain and like what the symptoms are. And then we're going to talk about like, how do we get out of the cycle of doing it? Because a lot of us, we can't see around it because we are really need to be hustling. So how do I figure it out? How do I put it in my schedule? I don't know, right? We're going to talk about that. So let's do this. So I'm going to read my notes down here, and then I have some other notes too, because I want to make sure that y'all get the most out of this. And I was thinking, after we do this show, I may do a workshop just specifically about busy brain, so we can talk about how we can take some actionable steps to work on these things. So I'm gonna read. So I'm really looking down. I know y'all like to see my eyes, but I'm gonna look down and read the definition real quick. A busy brain is a state of neuroinflammation caused by chronic stress and burnout, leading to symptoms like difficulty focusing, anxiety, and insomnia, right? How many people brains is so active that they can't even sleep well, right? It is often triggered by factors such as an inability to disconnect from digital devices. Who's a part of the swipe gang? That thumb, TikTok, Instagram. Your brain can't release from it. There's a lot of people out here that digital devices and the inability to remove yourself from it is affecting your relationship too, right? Your partner probably done told you about it a few times, but you can't stop, right? It also is a lack of boundaries, but it could cause a lack of boundaries between work and personal life, work-life balance. Who has issues with that? Work-life balance. So, and the other thing is, constant financial stress could make you have busy brain too, right? Survival mode, right? We done shows on survival mode, but this is a little different. You don't necessarily have to be in survival mode to have a busy brain. You can just have things that you put on your plate that you feel like you need to do, and it just makes you, right? So the condition can also manifest as adult ADHD. And you may need strategies for healing and management. Healing and management, because some of that stuff been with us our whole lives and we just can't turn it off. It's a part of our character. It's a part of our personality. People that have ADHD, yeah, especially the people who have problems focusing, inattentiveness, you're definitely going to have a lot of times where your partner's going to be like, the hell, you forgot? Like, what are we doing? You're not paying attention. Yeah, it's real. So let me double check real quick. Speak amongst yourselves. Give me like 5 seconds. So then we're going to go to my other notes, which are up here and not down there. So sometimes the way that this looks in real life, it could be a parent that's glued to the emails. I'm reading these little scenarios and then we're going to talk through it. The partner that's planning tomorrow's meeting, the friend that's lost in their social media scroll, right? We talked about that. Unintentional neglect is something that a lot of people don't talk about on these shows. They just focus on the fact that they are being neglected and they demonize the person. Now let's level set this. We're not talking about the people that do it on purpose. We're talking about the nice, decent people who just are doing so much that they unintentionally neglect, right? An unintentional neglector a lot of times will be with a partner that gets triggered by your neglect, right? So now we're talking about childhood wounds. Y'all didn't know I was going to go there, did y'all? Childhood wounds. Your neglect could trigger that person into a trauma response. They might get angry. They might pull away from you more. You wouldn't even see it coming because you're so focused on that busyness, right? And your partner gets triggered by your neglect. They don't see the why. They see the neglect. They see the distance. They see the inattentiveness. They see you not being mindful, and they take it personally, as they should. So when they take it personally, sometimes you end up in conflict and you won't even know why or how to fix it because that mind, the busyness is so important to you. And in our minds, we'll say, we're doing this busyness for you. I'm doing it for my partner. I'm doing it for my home. I'm doing it for our family. I want to create a legacy. You should understand. But it's always on. So now that excuse doesn't work when we're trying to achieve a life of balance. Work-life balance is the easiest thing and the hardest thing to do. But your partner who needs you to be present in a relationship, no matter how busy, is getting neglected unintentionally because your mission is a good mission. It just doesn't have parameters on it to fit being mindful of the present inside of it, right? So I'm I, I'm pulling from my brain and I'm looking at my notes and I've already gone through the notes because yeah, this is real for people. It says the emotional fallout of this unintentional neglect is that your partner will feel neglected, loneliness, and resentment. Oops. The neglected partner might resent you. And what do we always talk about? People who resent, they're going to find a way to cope with the neglect. Some way, somehow. They got to feel better, and you're not providing it. That doesn't necessarily mean they cheat. They might drink more. They might do something. And it sucks because the person who is doing the unintentional neglecting feels like they're doing it for a good purpose, and they probably are. They just didn't shoehorn in the fact that they're in a relationship when they did it. He show up later, it might be too late. We don't want that to happen, right? So we have to think about this in context, right? Busy brain, let's just recap. Unintentional neglect. And we got to ask ourselves, what are we focusing on? That's so important that we can't detach from it. Sometimes your unintentional neglect doesn't even necessarily inherently come from you. It could be your boss just doing the most, putting pressure on you, your job putting pressure on you. So your whole existence is about making sure the boss is happy so that you don't lose your job, but not look for a new job, right? It's hard out here, number one. So not looking for a new job ain't easy. But now that pressure then affects your relationship, right? And you don't even mean it. You're just trying to keep your job. There ain't no date nights happening. Ain't none of that. Just, I got to make sure I don't lose my job. I got to make sure that my boss is happy. What do I got to do? Then work that ended at 5 o'clock. You're still doing it at 8 p.m. Now your home is unintentionally neglected. You'll get understanding from home, but when do you participate in the relationship now? Because your whole existence is about just keeping that job, right? Again, there are tones of this that could lend itself into survival mode, but this isn't all survival mode. This is just you doing too much, right? So let me read in my notes, make sure. So, and this show is intentionally not going to be super long, right? I want to make sure that you guys get it, because I think what's going to be needed in the future is a larger platform to do this show, like a workshop or a masterclass situation, and not the podcast, because I want to actually have people have actionable things that they can do, because this is hard. Let's not trivialize this. Breaking away from the busy brain could be debilitating for some people, because you won't see the time that's needed for you to recover from it, because it's a part of who you are now. You can't even see. You know, people who hustle, they have an idea for a business, they're building it from scratch. They don't have a team yet, and they're just trying to build it. They're trying to get it out the mud, right? Well, what happens when you don't win? When you fail? You have to keep pivoting and trying to figure it out. Sleepless nights turn into sleepless months, sleepless years, and you still haven't gotten it yet, but it's your dream. Meanwhile, your significant other's like, "Oh, I get it. I'm your biggest supporter, but when, what it, what are we doing?" You won't even realize that your relationship is eroding from the inside, because you're just trying to get it. Just trying to get it. I'm doing this for my family. They supposed to understand. But little Billy got a basketball game next week. Are you gonna make it? Nah, I'm trying to work. I'm trying to build a legacy for my family, and I gotta keep. You didn't miss 10. So now I am your healing coach, right? Let's do it. You didn't miss 10 games. Will that kid eventually have an abandonment wound? Because you wasn't there for the things that counted. You wasn't there for them emotionally, but you were present in the house, hustling. And some of us will say to ourselves, well, if our kids see us hustling so much, they'll grow up appreciating everything that I did. Will they? Or do they just want you? And when will you make time to give it to them, right? I know. It's going places I wasn't expecting, but y'all got to hear this. So that's why a part of this that they said when I defined it earlier, part of this for some people is healing. Because sometimes your childhood trauma makes you like this. Can't stop. Can't fail. I need to hurry up and get it. Unintentionally neglecting the people that you care about the most in service of that. Right? Sometimes you got to get therapy for this kind of stuff, because you can't stop. Think about those words. I can't stop. Now, I don't want to stop. I can't. That's more serious, right? I can't stop. Uncontrollable. Sound a little bit more serious than somebody just working extra hours, right? Because we understand that people got to do what they got to do for their family. But the balance is key. It's something I'm still working on balancing. Because y'all see me doing all of these things and creating this stuff, and then I still got the full time and blah, blah, blah. If you don't sit down pun intended, it will get away. So we got to balance our lives out. Are we're gonna destroy ourselves or others unintentionally? See, this is why I keep saying unintentionally, because it doesn't mean you're a monster. We want to paint people out to be monsters who neglect, but sometimes it's unintentional. That's the part that hurts, because you got a good heart and you want to do the best for your family and you love your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend. I love them to death. I just want them to see that I'm trying to make it better, but you don't participate in the relationship anymore. What happens to your partner and what happens to you through your hustle? Because what we do is we create these points where we say that we will achieve a certain thing and then I'll make time for the relationship. But what happens with people is this term, and you can Google this, called destination addiction. You will create an endpoint when everything's going to be great. And then when you achieve there, you create a new endpoint. And when you achieve there, then you create a new endpoint, right? You're addicted to the destination. That's why they call it destination addiction. A lot of you ladies will understand this when you want your man to propose one day, be your husband, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna get married when I get my new job. And then he gets a new job and he be like, I want us to have a car first, and he'd be like, okay, you got the car, baby, what's up? Well, I want to make sure that we have a house too. Okay, well, okay, we got the house. I want to make sure that we have a certain amount of money in the bank. And you're like, damn it, man. We're 10 years in now. What up? Like, are we gonna, like, right? When does it end? When do I come in? All that hustling now, it's not even about the proposal. When did I get time from you? It's hard, y'all, to hustle and participate in right now. And between the hustling, right? Let me tell you what we also do while we're hustling, while we're unintentionally neglected. In between those breaks, we hear, look. Oh, for those of you audio, I'm scrolling on my phone. We doing this. And your partner's like, that's your break? What are we doing? You can't detach from none of it. It hurts. Imagine, like I said earlier, that the person that you love, unbeknownst to her or him, they have a childhood wound and they haven't realized that they have it because they didn't get coached by Coach Derrick, right? So now their wound of neglect that they had in their body from when they was a kid, when they meet you, unintentionally, you push the trigger. You push the trigger, and you scrolling on your phone, and you working too late, and you starting a new business, and you doing all the things, and they're going. A lot of times, they're going to suffer and cry and tell you that what the problem is, and you're going to take it as an offense. They told you that it hurt. They didn't even know it was a childhood wound, but they know it hurt. And then you explain it away, and then you keep push, and push, and push. And they're resenting you, and they're hating your guts because you're not doing what you said you was going to do. But you are working, though. You push and push and push. What do you think's going to happen? Unintentionally. You will unintentionally destroy your relationship and not know how it happened. So I know I'm going to have to do a class on this, guys. Not about the understanding, but about how to fix it, right? So I'm going to go through some of the solutions today. I'm going to think about this, though. I think this is important. I'm going to talk about some of the solutions, and then we're gonna land this plane because we got a lot going on. Y'all, I'll talk about it in a little bit, but we got a lot going on over here. This podcast is broadcast on all major podcast platforms, so you're going to get this within 24 hours of this live broadcast. The video will be on YouTube. The audio will be everywhere. In Spotify, you'll be able to get the video and the audio together, which is like magical. Like you can just don't even have to leave where you playing your little playlist. And you're like, oh, Derrick put up a new podcast. Let me go watch the video, and I'm still in my Spotify, right? It's amazing. Shout out to Coach Tanya. She was like, "Quick, the video, you could do video." I was like, "What?" Say less. So let's talk about this. How do you repair? How do you start to rebuild, right? What's the mindset you have to be in to rebuild, right? How do you fix it? Because 9 times out of 10, your partner's already expressed something's off, right? You're not doing the same stuff you used to do in the beginning. And I'm trying to build this business. I'm trying to make sure that we're good. Right? Remember, one of the symptoms is burnout. How many people burn out, still keep going? Burn out, still keep, because you can't stop. What's happening to your relationship? Burnout. It's a heavier topic than we like to think because a lot of us are dealing with it right now. A lot of us don't even know that we're doing it. Think about this. Would one think that maybe some of this could lead to a divorce one day? And then people will say marriages don't work. Two good people. Resentment. Disconnection. Over time, it feels hopeless. And some people will make the choice to just gotta go. Gotta go. I can't deal with this no more. You won't stop. So we talk about rebuilding, repairing, right? Here's some things. So these are the kind of noteworthy pieces here. And I wrote these down to make sure that I stay on task because I just went on a couple little tangents, but I'm back. So first thing is, and there's terms that we're using here, the pause and pivot technique. It means that you catch yourself drifting and intentionally re-engage. But then you have to be aware that you have the busy brain first. Sometimes while we're in the middle of it, we catch ourselves and then we stop and we pivot and we say, honey, I'm sorry. I'm here now. This is what I think we should do. Pause, pivot. The reason why they say pivot is because sometimes we are fully engaged in something and we have to pivot away. We have to pivot away from it in order to see the now. Sometimes you look up at the clock and it's an hour later and you're like, oh my God, let me go check on my wife. Hey, make sure she's okay. I didn't realize the time got away from me. I'm too busy hustling. But if you implement this in your brain, right, when you do catch yourself, you don't keep going. You take that as a moment to pivot. You take that as a pivot moment, right? We have to do this or we will lose ourselves and eventually probably lose our partner, right? So the next thing is, and this is something that if you're in a relationship or if you hope to be in one, this right here is important. It's not the first time you've heard it, but this is the second one. Designated what we're calling sacred presence times, right? Let me define what that is. And you can call it what you want to, right? And some people have like a room in their house that they go to where it's kind of quiet. Some people have to schedule it in, right? Busy brain, you have to put it in your schedule. Designated sacred presence times means that there are no technology, phones down, and scheduling in undivided attention. It sounds wild, right? We got to schedule in having time to have undivided attention. Yes, when you have schedules and busy brain and you got a lot of, sometimes you schedule in this time, sometimes you got to schedule in date nights. And then there's some people that will challenge you and say, why we got to schedule date night? Like, can it just be spontaneous? No. Do you see what I got going on? We're going to have to, the only way that we can make it happen is if we do it on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. because so sometimes it's not even about scheduling date night. Sometimes it's so for this 30 minutes or this whatever, the phone's going to be somewhere else and we just going to talk, right? I did a workshop about this, about doing check-ins frequently with your partner to see what's up. And that means no phones. But imagine how hard this is when you have busy brain to just even separate yourself from it. Because most people with busy brains, right, they're going to, and then they're going to pass out and go to sleep from the exhaustion and the burnout. And you're going to roll over and go to sleep. And then do it again tomorrow. And then the months go by with the same pattern. And the only way to get your relationship back on track is to break the pattern, but you got to be willing to do that. Right? The other thing is, and this is why I say I may have to do a class on this, mindful listening exercises, right? So this is like how people say, the communication is that like you're responding just to hear yourself talk instead of listening. Truly hearing and understanding and not just waiting to respond, right? That's what I have written down here. So that's all a part of it, because then you are now present. You're being mindful of the present. You're being attentive. You're listening. You're having spaces where you don't have distractions. Because how many of y'all been in having a conversation with somebody and then they start looking down at their phone and typing? They be like, I'm listening. Are you? Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. All it takes is a notification to pop up and you be like, hold on. Wait. They be like, I was talking. Did you hear what I just said? Yeah, I heard you. Repeat it back. Oh, my bad. I did. I wasn't listening the past 5 minutes. Sorry. I didn't have to read that one. So we gonna move. I'm triggering myself now. But I'm a work in progress, y'all. I'm not perfect. Especially those of us who are running businesses. Them notifications be popping up and you be like, hold on. I was telling you about my day. What are you doing? Just hold on. Let me finish this email real quick. You just destroyed the whole moment. Unintentionally. You be like, wait, I was listening. No, you wasn't. Let me breathe. Let's breathe together. So now we had to talk about having a deeper understanding, right? So when you are in this busy brain, right? Your partner sometimes has to have. So now we're going to talk about the partner. Sometimes the partner that loves you has to understand the why the busy brain exists. Oh, they're trying to do this thing for our family. I get it. But sometimes it's how you approach your concerns that could repair or break it too. Because now I always try to flip the perspective to the other side. We have to be mindful as the party who's being unintentionally neglected that we, depending on how we engage them, could be triggering their childhood wound. So now we have to be careful about our approach. And this is kind of how you need to approach it in order to make sure that there's a synergy between the two of you because you love each other, right? You know they're not doing it because they're an evil monster, right? You're going to have some empathy for why they're doing it. And so communicating your needs without blame. You don't want to be around. You don't want to do date night. It's going to trigger the person who's unintentionally doing it, right? Communicating your needs without blame, like saying things like, I miss you when your mind is elsewhere. You see how that feels? I really miss spending time with you when you're busy, but I understand. Do you think you can find like an hour or 30 minutes to just kind of be with me? See? It feels like, oh, baby, okay, no problem. I got you. Let's do that. But when you say, why you not? You don't want to be around me, do you? Who said that? Because you always working. See what I just did there? You just made it worse. Because you were triggered too. We got to learn how to regulate our emotions. Right? We have to practice empathetic observation. Jesus, I'm going to have to, you know what? I'm going to have to, we got to talk about this. Empathetic observation. This is huge. Let me tell y'all something. And I'm going to put gender on this to illustrate this, not to attack either side. Ladies ask all the time, how can I make my man share with me more? How can I make him, share his vulnerability? How can I make him talk to me in whatever? I don't understand why. Sometimes you won't get it from the mouth. Empathetic observation in this sense means noticing when your loved one is present versus distracted so that you understand how to approach and maybe even what they need from you. Empathetic observation means close your mouth. Men and women. Now we're going to because I don't want y'all to be like, he's attacking women. No. Close your mouth and watch. You'll get a lot of information that way. Just watch the behavior. The behavior will tell you way more than the mouth does. Right? So let's do this, right? So now, unintentional neglect, but you're feeling hurt by it, right? They're working, they're doing the busy brain. They're trying to figure it out. But they're neglecting you. So technically, it's an offense to the relationship, right? But you're watching them stress over this stuff. They're pulling their hair out. Oh my gosh, my boss. Coming in and saying, why you ain't spending no time with me? Whew. You heard my tone when I just did that, right? Are we helping or hurting? Are we going in this with empathy or rage? We take it personal, even though we know it's not, because we've observed them. Empathetic observation means you handle it with care because you can watch and see that they're trying to start that business and it's taking so much out of them. Baby, you doing a lot. Like, you need to slow down. Do you need me to get you some water? Then you come in and say, I would love for us to spend some time with each other, even if it's for 30 minutes. I just want to be able to not have the phones or the computer on so that we can kind of connect with each other. You see you hear my tone? Do you hear the tone? I know you're busy. You see the difference? Don't let your little kid inside of you start yelling. That's why you got to get coached by me, damn it. So we can learn about that inner child so that inner child does not control your responses. Because you will be pissed off. You will want to yell. You will want to shake them. Well, don't shake them, but you know what I mean. You will want to be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Don't you know that your family... See, when you do that tone and that delivery, you no longer sound like the wife. You sound like his mama. And I know. I don't have to babysit no grown man emotions. He should just know. I know. Oof. We gotta do another show. I've heard that so many times. So the next thing that you could do in order to kind of bridge this gap is create shared experiences that demand them being present, right? Because some people just can't disconnect. But if you do something that makes them, like cooking together or doing an outdoor activity, they have to participate. Their brain has to focus on the escape room or the, what do they do with those things? The axe throwing. There ain't no computer there. Sometimes you got to do that for people. You got to bring them outside the house, right? Like sometimes you got to be like, this particular date night, we're going to go play mini golf. You got to focus on playing. Now, that doesn't mean, ladies, that you are the one initiating all the dates. Sometimes you gotta, shake them a little bit and be like, hey, you busy, but, and sometimes that shake could be, getting to that point where you have that discussion without the phones. That's when you say, hey, I would love it if I love hanging out with you. And, I know you have a break on Friday. I need you to kind of figure out. I know y'all don't want to do this because you feel like you got to tell a man what to do, but is he in the other room fighting for your family? We ain't talking about the monsters. We're talking about the good men, the good women that are just trying to figure life out. Those people. Sometimes you're going to have to get over yourself and try to figure out how to make it work. Because a person that we don't like, first of all, you still in a relationship with them. We ain't talking about people you feel like the whole time you've been with them, you got to carry the load yourself. They participated until they started a business. They participated until their boss started treating them like a piece of shit. And now they don't know how to regulate themselves around it. They just got to know that they got to, I'm talking about this person that you love. Let's breathe. So now we got to talk about the person with the busy brain because they got to do some work too. Right? I don't want to put this all on the other person. And this is where, that person has to sometimes people can't, they need therapy. I said that earlier. Sometimes you need somebody outside of you to be and outside of your partner to set you straight. Because I have an inactivity issue, right? Not the hyper part of the ADHD, but the inactive side, right? So you really got to focus on prioritizing and doing, or you will unintentionally neglect. And it won't even be because, you just a bad person. It's just like, I got to put stuff in my calendar on my phone. You got to be proactive sometimes in doing that. So long term, for you to be present, setting healthy boundaries with work and technology to protect your relationship time. Oh, this is hard. Y'all can't put TikTok down, y'all. You're going to have to set some times to stop. They had that screen time thing. And they tell you how long you've been on the phone. We got to, I got to do it too, y'all. I got to do it too. We got to. If we want our relationship to prosper, we can't be detached from it. Y'all know, right? It's funny, haha, funny, that we have created this piece of our relationships and even our friendships now where we don't even say words to each other. We just send TikTok videos as a means of communication. Isn't that wild? You done sent about 10 TikTok videos you done laughed at. Did you see what I just sent you? That's how y'all talk now. Ooh. This is what we've become. That's why this whole putting the phone down, having that time means something. Y'all know y'all got friends. All you got is a whole bunch of TikTok videos all day in your phone, and you be like, damn it, are they going to send me another one? Like, what the hell? Like, hello, how was your day? Hi. We got to get back to the main thing. I talked about checking in. I'm just going down my last little notes, checking in with each other. And checking in doesn't mean, how was your day? That's a cop out. You got to ask more probing questions when you have that time, like, how was your mental health? How are you actually feeling today? Is there anything I can do to make things better? Because I was told by a wise woman that's in the same house as me. And she said, it's both of our jobs to see how we can make the other person's life easier. I'll never forget that day, because I wasn't doing it. See, as men, sometimes we get caught up in our own mental health and our own regulation of ourselves. We go sit on the couch, we do whatever, and we forget that we also have to participate in the house too. Yeah. The last thing is celebrating moments of deep connection to reinforce positive habits and foster a more present future. And what that means is, when you're able to have these vulnerable moments with your partner, this quiet time, and then you have revelations, maybe the communication gets better. Thank you, baby, for that time, because I didn't realize you felt that way. We should do this more often. I love it here. We got to do this, guys, because our schedules and our days and our kids and all of this stuff. Y'all know people who, and so this is not a judgment. I just know it happens. People who have kids that are in like 5 different sports, and they traveling and they doing all of this stuff, and they're married couple, but you got to make sure the kid got the uniform, and they got a tournament in Florida, and then I got to do this, and I'm trying to start a business on the side. And you will literally wait to have these connections that I'm talking about until the kid leaves high school. And then when the kid turned 18, you at home looking at a stranger. But you was at every football game though, right? The kid got everything the kid needed. But you never took time out to serve your relationship, because all you could think about was the schedules and work, and it will take control of your life. And let's not even throw on top of that survival mode. You broke trying to figure it out. Oh my God, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I got a payday loan coming out my check. I can't even see it no more. And I got to make sure my kid got the uniform. It's due by Friday. You ain't thinking about date night. You ain't thinking about having connection time. We got to figure it out, guys. If we want to stay in these relationships and stop blaming it on marriage, stop blaming it on all this other stuff. Sometimes it's just because you weren't present. Over a period of time, your partner going to hate your ass. They're going to, the hell, they're going to get used to you not being there. And guess what happens? And we're going to land our plane on this. And I said it earlier. Without you being fully engaged with either your partner or your kids, because of all of this busy brain stuff, you will unintentionally create a childhood wound in a child of neglect and abandonment that they will carry through their whole lives. And then they turn 50, and then they calling me talking about, I don't know why I keep picking a narcissist, and again, I don't know what we can stop it for the next generation, y'all. I swear to you, we can. Because then guess what happens when you start doing this mindfulness stuff? Then if you have a kid and y'all are still together, they get to see what it looks like. Y'all know we grow up, oh, I never saw a healthy relationship. Be the change. It might not be for you, but think about the kids. Think about the kids. So anyway, I appreciate everyone who has attended live and people that will hear the replay on the podcast platforms, all of them. All of them. I don't think there's any podcast platform that I'm not on. I worked hard at it, y'all. YouTube is always the staple. Group coaching is available now on the school app. But don't even worry about if you heard about school or not. Just go to sitdownandheal.com and there's a big button that will illustrate to you everything that's there. It's $30 a month and you get to get coaching from me, but with a group. So you don't have to be afraid to come in by yourself to get your coaching. It's $30 a month. It's our introductory rate. It ain't gonna stay that price because you get a lot of value out of it. One-on-one sessions are available. Workshop library system where you don't even have to talk to me. It's already prepackaged for you. It's all on that same website. Just scroll through there and find what you want. Budget conscious people, we have ebooks, workbooks, and journals to help you start your journey all below $20. So you don't have an excuse to work on your healing. So until next time, guys, I hope you come back enough time to hang out with me and eventually find your way to sitting down and healing.